Okay, so I'm down by the pond. I found a stick here laying on the ground. Just thought I'd use that. Got a little bit of line on here. Just got a simple bobber rig with a couple split shots and one of my primitive locust thorn hooks there. I'm going to try it out, see how it works. Well, I've pretty much walked most of the way around this pond, tried out several different locations, and have yet to even get a nibble. Only brought the one bait, the Berkeley Gulp maggot bait that I had in along with my fishing kit here in my fishing kit video. So I think I'm going to call it quits on the fishing. I'm going to walk around here, do a little bit of scouting, see what I can find. I've only been out here a couple times. This is a new land to me. A friend of mine just granted me some access to this land so I could come out here and shoot some video and do some experiments and things. So I'd like to thank the Cole family for that. So I'm going to get my gear together here and maybe go for a little bit of a walk and see what we can find. This is the pond I was just fishing. I think there's 3 ponds on this property. 2 of them are tucked back here in the woods a little bit. It's a small pond, but pretty nice quiet area back here. This here looks like a bedding area for some deer. You can see some of these small trees and bushes, shrubs, whatever they are, chewed off. I notice some old sign over here, an old rub. Don't look real fresh, but say there's been some activity here judging by the grass. See it all laying down there. Quite a few tracks around here too. Quite a ways down there's a creek. Haven't really had a chance to walk along it yet, but probably won't today either. But one of these trips out here, I'm gonna walk down there and see what's down there. Really nice and quiet out here. Really thick, rough terrain, but it's kind of nice to get out here and walk around a little bit. I just spotted a couple of large pine logs laying here. So one of my next trips here, I will maybe try to harvest some fat wood from those. That's something that I haven't yet done. I notice when I come into this, there's a lot of undergrowth here, but in this area there's a lot of pine standing here, and it's kind of cool. Most of this is all hardwood, deciduous, and a lot of elm out here, a lot of oaks and maples and things like that, and a ton of locust trees, black and honey. But I just kind of came up to the top of this hill and saw this stand of pine, and I just thought it was kind of cool. So I'm going to maybe try to work my way through some of this undergrowth here and see if I can get up close to some of these trees. I finally made it up here. Had to dig through the stickers and the thorns, but I made it. Pretty large pine tree here. You don't see a lot of them here in my area this tall. This area is kind of battered. I think maybe there's some kind of disease in the pines here. My buddy that owns this land did say that his neighbors, some property across the way, had some disease in their trees, and he was worried they might have spread his property. So I'm not sure that's what's going on here, but it appears it might be so, which is unfortunate. There's dead pine laying all over the place out here, so I'm definitely going to have to hook up on fat wood. Looks like to me this is another bedding area. This all looks pretty prime in here for deer. It's really, really thick, hard to get through. I can imagine they'd just love it in here. Like I said, there's just pine laying everywhere. I mean, it is just laying all over the place. So got some deer droppings here. not real fresh. But nonetheless, that's definitely a sign of activity in this area. I just found a different type of feces here. I'm not sure. It's probably coyote, I would imagine. It does look like dog poop, and it appears that it's got some fur in it. And it could be mold, but that actually to me looks like animal fur right there. Excuse me for not picking it up. But things you find in the woods, huh? I just came out of the pine forest maze there into this clearing. Looks like there's a lot of activity here, a lot of paths worn through the grass. Imagine there's a ton of rabbits in here, squirrels, deer. This would be a good place to look for some natural tinder material, I'm sure. It's like a pretty worn path here. This pathway is all over through this grassy area. This looks like another bedding area up here. We have a black locust tree here. Another one of them trees where you want to watch where you put your hands, because they do have thorns on the branches. How well you can see those. Some bad boys are pretty sharp though. The honey locust grows the thorns up the main trunk, and the black locust for some reason developed this little personality trait here. The upper branches have the thorns, so they, from what I've read, they assume that's because of some megafauna in the past feeding on these trees, and they just kind of developed that as a self-defense mechanism. I made it up about 20 feet past that black locust tree, and I found this skull laying here. I'm guessing that's a deer skull. I'm not an expert on skulls, but I'm not a deer hunter, but I'm saying that's what it is. Still got the teeth. It's in pretty good shape. The only other bone I found in the area was this leg bone, so I don't know if the rest of it was carried off or got buried in the dirt or what. I'm assuming it got carried off by coyotes or something. But I'll take this leg bone back with me and for some projects in the future. Here's a baby honey locust. You can see the thorns growing up the trunk there. It's a little sapling and it's already a rough customer. A lot of locusts in this section here. Another clearing here, a lot of goldenrod here. A lot of uses for goldenrod. I've heard different things about it being a coagulative and things like that, and actually being a good natural tinder. Things I haven't really looked into, but plan to. Down here by the pond, I looked down, spotted some deer tracks. Now these aren't fresh by any means, but it is positive deer sign. There's a couple of big oaks here. I do believe they're swamp oaks, and so there's a lot of acorns laying here. So it looks like they've been feeding on those. Here's another pond. I do believe my buddy said this one was man-made. There's actually some willow around this one. I didn't see any willow around the other pond. A few of them around there, and then, like I said, a lot of locusts. Even going through the clearings, you kind of have to watch where you're going, because you can run into one of them honey locusts and it'll pretty much ruin your day. It's beautiful out here though. This area, this land, my buddy said these ponds really haven't been fished much. Last several years, the land hasn't been upkept very much in the last couple years, so in exchange for the access to come out here, I'm going to try to help him get it cleaned up a little bit. A lot of the areas his family would like to enjoy, I haven't been able to enjoy for a while, so thought I'd help him out with some of that. It's the least I can do for him sharing this beautiful area with me. I was kind of on my way out here when I spotted this locust tree. This is the black locust. And it's actually was forked over here and it split. Guessing the wind blew it over and it broke off, but it didn't die. And now the trees laying along the ground, and all of these branches have turned into, they're like trees poking up. So this locust is actually still living, laying on its side, and it's like got 20 trees sticking up from the top of it. It's actually pretty cool. I noticed that here on my way out. I was walking across this meadow, seeing it off in the distance, so I'd check it out. Evening's kind of drawing to a close, losing light a little bit here, so I better get home, get supper, get back to the wife and kids before I get in too much trouble. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate with me on that one. I do see some thistle up here with the fluff sticking out, so I'm going to grab my tinder bag real quick and collect some of that, maybe try to char some when I get back to the house. One thing I learned the hard way a while back was be real careful with them, what's left over of the flowers on these thistles. They're no joke. They'll poke you pretty good. I didn't mean to pull that whole head off there like that. Kind of doing this with one hand, so it's a little more difficult. I'm just kind of trying to shove some of that in my tinder bag there. There's plenty of it around here, so I don't feel too bad about taking some. Just have to be careful when I dump those out. Just take a couple of heads there. Maybe one more. Leave plenty of it there. And then there's another one off over there in the distance somewhere I seen. But anyhow, this is Beginner's Bushman. This is my outing number 2 for my basic certification. Thanks for watching.